We've discussed work-life balance. We've discussed family and friendships. But today we're going to talk about a very salient issue that a lot of people don't exactly bring up in conversations, and that is mentorship. Now, the survey of nearly 7,000 youths, the nation's most ethnically and racially diverse generation ever, by a research institute, found that a majority of people want work to be meaningful. Some don't have mentors, and some are just worried about work-life balance. But the question is mentorship still a valid idea? What is the concept, and how exactly do people go about it in this age and time? Let me officially welcome you to today's episode of Fafanua Africa. Now this, like I always say, is a youth-based, conversational and enlightening show where in less than 60 minutes we take you through the topical, the trending issues across Africa that affect the youth, and we prefer possible solutions to the challenges that the youths may face in their everyday lives. My name, of course, is Blessings Mosugu, and I remain your delectable host on the show. So sit tight and let's take you through 1 hour of bliss. Now, here are some pointers to note about what a mentor does. A mentor helps you gain insight and perspective by having someone to bounce your ideas off. A mentor helps you focus on and strategically work towards your business vision or whatever vision you have in life generally. A mentor also helps you shorten your learning curve. In other words, they help you learn faster. And a mentor helps you identify opportunities and risks by learning with someone who has had the experience or someone who is experienced. A mentor helps you grow and enhance your business network and acumen. A mentor helps you build confidence knowing you have someone in your corner. So the question remains, why do people either shy away from having one or even lack access to any? Well, joining me on this conversation today, I have the honor of introducing my guests. Well, gladly, it's not an all-men show because I am a lady, but most of my guests are men for today. Now, I have Milton Tutu, the Chief Marketing Officer, Sela Kigali, Rwanda. Thank you, Milton, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. We also have Kasango Dickens-Spessa, the Director General, Global Council for Promotion of International Trade, Nairobi, Kenya. Do we have Kasango? Thank you, Kasango, for joining us. And last but not the least, of course, I have my in-house guest, Layo Arikawi. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
The lead consultant, Frontiers Consulting Nigeria. Thank you, Layo, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Blessings.
So is it Omolayo or Dunlayo?
Omolayo.
Omolayo, okay. I mean, you know, I'm a Yoruba girl.
Oh.
All right, so it's good to have you all on the show. So, I mean, we're talking about mentorship, and today we want to look at every sphere or area of mentorship. I mean, because of our time, we may not be able to cover it in depth, but I want us to understand the concept of mentorship and how it applies to this day and time. So my first question will be, who exactly are mentors and what is mentoring? What is the concept of mentoring? Layo, do you want to go first?
Okay. I didn't expect I'll go first.
I know, I caught you off guard.
Okay, good, good. So I'll take the first thing, who a mentor is. And I'll start by differentiating who a mentor is and who an influencer is from our initial conversation. Okay. Right? You can't be mentored from afar, as some people have thought, just by following somebody or imagining somebody or following somebody's life. That's not mentorship, right? A mentor is somebody who you have somewhat close proximity with, maybe not physically or you're not geographically located together. I mean, a person passes something that is both physical and mental, exactly, and a certain kind of energy as well, because my own mentor, who has mentored me in business and stuff, he probably doesn't share anything, maybe majorly mentally, but each time we get to converse, there's a particular energy I carry to my own business and I can work with. That is what I refer to as mentorship. It's both, it's mental, it's physical, it is not just the gear things and all that stuff, but everything. Yeah, that's what I refer to as mentorship.
Yeah, but some people will argue that if you, let's say, I mean, it's a digital age, right? We have access to YouTube, social media, and all. So some people will argue that if you consume as much content of one person, say, I don't want to give any name, but just one person who influences your thinking in your field. If you consume so much content from that person, talking about their motivational speaking, how they talk, what they do, the patterns for living, it kind of, and then you can apply the same principles to your life without even knowing them or without them knowing you. That is mentorship. Is that true?
That is not. And I'll give you a classic example. As a youth, if you're until I experienced this, I never understood what it meant. I never understood the value. If you're at a crossroad in your career or in your business or in your relationship, whatever it is, can you pick up the phone and call whoever it is that you think you're following or that is influencing you? Can you pick up the phone and tell the person, oh, I'm going through this, what do you think I should do? Right? If the person can, and even if you have opportunity to speak to that person, the person is you're only giving the person some sort of contextual explanation to what is going to at this moment. The person cannot say, oh, I knew you 5 years ago. I know what you have in store or whatever it is you're doing. Stay in your lane and do this. But if you just explain what I'm going through to this person, because of the way I'm sharing what I'm going through, the person will say, probably you're not in the right space. Go do something else.
Right.
You know, so it goes beyond just, it's somebody that's following you. Every milestone, you're calling up the person, oh, I just did this. Oh, I just messed up. I just did this. You know, it's way beyond influencing.
Right. Okay, Milton, do you agree with Layo's idea about mentorship?
Yes, I mean, he made some solid points. Also, just to add to what he said, I mean, maybe not necessarily contradictory, but there are some people that they want to like learn from XYZ person. They want to like get access to this person. But sometimes it's a little bit difficult because, again, the internet, they don't have access to this person. So, I mean, the internet, YouTube, podcasts just help with, like, you know, at least having a little bit form of, like, some form of access to this person when it comes to, like, listening to their podcasts, reading their books. Me personally, I mean, there are people that have helped in my life, right, that they didn't necessarily mentor me, like one-on-one. But that's why these guys, like, they wrote books, they have like that so that they can share their ideas, their perspective of the world, their knowledge, their principles, their wisdom with like people out there that also like want to seek that want to seek guidance from them as well. So yes and no, I agree with him with what he I agree with what he said, but also there is another picture of it as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, how about the last thing he mentioned, where if you're having maybe a crisis or you're at a crossroad in your business, whatever, if you can't pick up your phone and call the person, is that still mentorship?
Good question. So, I mean, if you can't pick up your phone and call this person and call whoever you say is your mentor, it's not necessarily still mentorship. But also, that's why these guys, like, they've written books as well. They've written books and they have materials out there. And sometimes, right, my mentor, I'll be going through things, my business, my career, and I'll call him and he'll be like, okay, do you know what? Go and read this book. Go and check this book out. Go and do these things, right? So yes, it's okay. And it's good to like have this, like that person that you can always pick up the phone and call and, you know, share your thoughts and the things that you're going through in your life. It's 100% okay, right? And also, it's also okay to have people out there that you don't necessarily have that one-on-one relationship with, but you're being inspired, you're being guided by the things that they put out there.
Okay, Milton, now would you say that with the advent of social media, technology, and people being able to converse without being in the same space, would you say that the culture of mentorship is dying down?
No, I don't think it is, right? I don't think it is, even based on like, you can't reach this person one-on-one or like you can't be in the same space with them. My first mentor, when I was like 16, 17 years old, literally like we had not met in person, but she guided me through in like like publishing my first book, like my first physical book that was like an Amazon bestseller. We've never met before. She stayed in Portugal. I was in Nigeria. And it wasn't until like 2 years later that she came down to like Nigeria for like a training and stuff like that. I had to be there, right? So I mean, social media actually make things easier, right? Because you have that you have that close proximity with that person. I mean, with social media, there is literally nothing like proximity because you can always reach out to these people. My mentor currently stays in Nigeria. I'm in Kigali, Rwanda, and I literally travel almost around the world. And we always talk every now and then. So I think social media is there to actually like help the mentorship culture to like push it forward because you can easily reach out to people. People are more accessible now than they were before when like social media wasn't there.
Okay, that's an interesting point of view. But Laya, do you agree with that? I mean, you are pro one-on-one. So do you think that social media mentorship is not exactly mentorship enough, and as a result of that, the concept of mentorship is dying down?
I don't think now we're in the borderless space, right? And as youth, we should be more conscious, and whenever we think of any concept, we should also explore, okay, aside what I can access in my geographic location, what can I also access that is beyond me, right? I know I don't want to mention the name of this particular tech platform. I know Milton will know it, where you can access, if you want to break into tech or whatever career, major tech skills, you'll find top guys in whatever space. You find, probably Milton is also on that platform, I don't know. But you find top mentors on that platform where mentees can just say, oh, this guy has experience, XYZ experience in this space. Let me book a call with him. A typical strategy session or whatever session that will cost you thousands of dollars, you could access these guys for free. You know, it's a particular tech platform. They raised a couple of millions of dollars actually recently. So that has shown you that it's very possible and people are getting real value from it. So, I mean, we're in the borderless age, so nobody should be limited to just one-on-one. I mean, you could get value from anybody, anywhere.
Right. Indeed. Okay, so while we wait for Kasango to join in, like I said earlier, I have 3 guests for today. Layo and Milton have done justice so far, but we're nowhere near ending. So we have Vox Pops. We have people who we've asked questions about mentorship. I mean, of course, it's a youth-based show, so we have some youths who have said certain things about mentorship that would like to share. Do take a look. We'll be right back.
Mentorship means receiving guidance from a mentor who is usually someone who has more experience than you in a particular field or generally in life. Mentorship helps you to grow, it provides support in like any aspect of your life that basically needs support. Personally, for me, through mentorship, I've recorded an immense amount of growth in my educational life that's taken me from a very low point to a very high point where I can confidently say that I have grown and I have received the support I need from my mentors. Mentorship generally for youths helps to it provides you with that extra support you don't necessarily know you need until you have it. Mentorship is just one of those things in life that gives you an edge.
Mentorship is incredibly important for personal growth. Having someone to guide you and offer you advice can help you navigate through your career and personal life more effectively. Mentorship can provide a lot of benefits, such as helping you set realistic goals, offering support and encouragement, and providing an outside perspective on your situation. It also helps you build your network and connect with people in your industry. Mentorship has helped me personally. I mean, my mom is my mentor. I remember there was a time I was going through, peer pressure. Yes, I had peer pressure when I was in secondary school. So my mom helped me throughout those periods because I didn't like to see friends. In fact, no friend even visited me in my house throughout my secondary school times, even the times I was sick. So yeah, I believe that everybody needs to have a mentor.
Mentorship is very important for us as youth. It provides guidance and support from people who is more experienced. It also helps to build our skills and confidence, and also help us to be informed about decisions we make in our future.
Well, very interesting topic so far, I must say. We're still talking about mentorship. And of course, you've heard the youth's point of view regarding mentorship. And I just have one other question, not last question, but one other question for my guests. And I'm going to be starting with Layo, as always. So we want to know, what is the difference between mentorship? I mean, you mentioned earlier, mentorship is different from influencing. Yeah. This present age and time, the youths will trade mentorship for influencing over and over. You hear people say, you know, we have a lot of influencers. So you hear people say, oh, you're my mentor, I look up to you, things like that. When they have meet and greets, they tell them how they worship them, they adore them and things like that. So what is the difference between mentorship and influencing?
Oh, beautiful. I think the other word that could be swapped with the influencing is role model.
Okay.
Role model. People have made a name for it as to you don't have personal contact with the person. I can pick you. If I've not met you before, I just know you online. I see you're doing great stuff. I say, oh, that person is my role model. I choose to be like him. Some maybe next 2-3 years, I just wish to be like him. You know, but it's limiting because now you don't know. You just know what A to B looks like. You know what B looks like, but everything that goes on before you get to B, you somehow don't have a typical experience of what that looks like. I'm sure a lot of business owners, a lot of guys in the career space, they don't, except you do nowadays, get ready with me and stuff like that, you know. That doesn't even...
But I mean, even the get ready with me is staged. Some of them are staged. It's not like it's...
Because it doesn't give you a clear picture as to what a typical day in this person's life looks like. Even a typical day in somebody, maybe a top role model guy, looks like. It's not... You don't see the anger the person goes through at work. You don't see how they manage the long hour of meetings they get to go through. You don't know what it feels like. Sure. So you just need to find a role model. You need these things. I mean, you need a role model that is someone you're looking up to, because someone said to me that the reason why we get up every morning to go to work is because we tell ourselves a story. We don't know we're telling ourselves that story, but we're telling that story that, okay, I know that things will get... there's a picture we have in our mind that, okay, very soon, whatever it is that is keeping me up late at night, whatever is keeping me up to show up at work, is going to pan out to something good eventually. Because I think a top brand consultant said that the reason why most adverts why people would see you're liable to die young in a pack of a cigarette is because each time someone lights that thing, they have a picture of somebody they saw in an ad that looked cool while they were smoking. And somehow they position themselves that way too and say, look, it's cool to do this stuff. And most people that were influenced to do certain bad things in the society today is because while they're smoking or while they're doing that stuff, is because they imagine themselves that, oh, this person could do it. Why can't I do it? You know, and if you interacted with certain people like that, you say, oh, this person is also doing it. Why are you doing it? This person is also doing it. If we can shift our gaze to that, okay, why are you doing it? Because why are you doing something great? It's because, oh, I saw this person do something great. You know, everybody has that quote. Every top person I've always related with, they have that quote somewhere in their room, just somewhere that keeps them going. And so oh, they've never met this person before, right? They'll just say, oh, is this quote by so person, maybe Nelson Mandela, I read somewhere. that kept me going for 10 years in this industry, you know, as an activist or whatever. So these things, a role model has its own place. A mentor also has its own place.
Okay, interesting. Milton, what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with him. A role model has his own place or her own place, like playing your life, and also mentor as well. And also because, again, just going back to the word influencer, because someone is an influencer on social media, that doesn't mean like that person should like have an influence over you, right? You should pick everything you see on social media with like a pinch of salt, right? But also always you should have that person that is more experienced than you in the industry that you can always call and talk to as your mentor. There are a whole lot of like influencers out there. There are a whole lot of role models out there. There are a whole lot of people that you want to be like. But always have that person that you can always reach out to, and that person that you can always, have those deep conversations with. And again, pick everything you see on social media with a pinch of salt. Really, you should. Yeah.
Right. Milton, also, does mentorship have anything to do with age? Let me ask that way, because a lot of times, especially with the African mentality, right?
Yeah.
You see someone doing something great and you want to be like this person. Let's even say you're lucky to be in close proximity with the person. Or you hear people say things like, no, that person can't be my mentor. He's younger than me. I'm older than him. Or we're age mates, you know?
Yeah.
So does it have anything to do with age?
No, I don't think mentorship has anything to do with age, right? Of course, age comes with experience, but most young people these days, they've been able to buy those experience from like courses, books, and just fast tracking their growth in their career and stuff like that. So yes, older people give a way much more structured mentorship, but there are also younger people too that also serve as mentors to other younger people. So for instance, myself, Milton, I mean, I'm always happy to like say my age anywhere. I'm 25 years old currently, and I'm like the CMO of like a company with over 1 million users across Africa. There are people that I'm mentoring that are like younger than me, and there are also people that I also serve as their mentor that are older than me as well. So mentorship is not age bound, mentorship is experience bound. There are people that want to like learn XYZ thing, and I have that experience. I'm like always available and happy to teach them, right? So again, I don't think people should see mentorship from like the age perspective. I think people should see mentorship from the experience perspective. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. Layo, another question would be, how is mentorship built? And a lot of times people, I think that's like one of the major area of confusion, where the youth want someone to mentor them, but they don't know how to go about it. They are in close proximity, but they don't know how to approach the person. So do you approach a mentor, or a mentor sees someone that, oh, this person looks like he's going to do well in this field, and it just calls you, and how do they do it?
Okay, I'll share two things, basically. The first is, okay, I'll start with what one of my mentors said to me. He said that every mentor can say this person is my, every mentee can say, oh, this person is my mentor. But can your mentor say, oh, this is my mentee?
Okay.
Just the same way Yorubas will say, like father will surely know his child, but can we say my father, but the father surely knows his own child. So it goes down to say that first, be an exceptional person, because nobody, this may sound harsh, but nobody wants to be a breakthrough. It may sound harsh, but I've tried it over and over again, because somehow I sell sort of high-ticket events, and I realized that you have no track record, you have almost nothing. Nobody's going to spend their time with you. They know that you're not going to work on whatever they share with you. So you have to be somebody that, look, they get gingered when they see, oh, this person worked what I've done, has even exceeded what I said it should do. Oh, good. Or you're presenting anything. I mean, just like I said, nobody wants to be a breakthrough. And if we go out with this mentality, how we present ourselves will also change. Take for instance, I present myself to you in a certain way. You will listen to me because you're being nice, but how far would you be able to go in sharing what exactly I tell you I do with high network individuals in your life, right? Except you're just being maybe spiritual. So those are ways you can know, oh, look, be a go-getter yourself, be driven. Then you always find people that you attract those kind of people, and you also be intentional about you meeting those kind of people, because life is in stages. There are certain kinds of mentors you'll never attract because of where you are in life. And that's just how it is. That's the reality.
Right. Okay. Talking about that, I think let me bring Milton into this conversation. Now, talking about certain kinds of mentors that you will not attract, I feel like sometimes mentors are being overly selective. And I said that because there are certain people, I mean, someone would said this to me before, that you are most likely, people would most likely help you when they find out that you can succeed without their help, right? Yes, so most times when maybe mentees or people who want mentoring approach certain people, you know, it takes confidence and all. When they successfully approach people and they're like, I need you to mentor me, they may not look like they have prospect, but the mentors sometimes just see the fact that this guy doesn't look like he has prospect, doesn't look like he was successful, and then they just discard you. So, I mean, what do you do in that situation? Like, the youth themselves know that if I'm given a chance, I can actually do well. But these people they don't see that prospect in you, and so they don't even want to help you in any way. What's the way forward from that?
Thank you so much for that question. Sometimes I think it's the way you'd ask the question, right? Because people can sense your intelligence from the quality of questions that you ask, right? So I mean, instead of you to just go and meet someone and say mentor me, right? It's like you don't have a relationship with that person, you've not engaged in their content, you've not purchased any of their products, you've not like served them, and you're going to ask for mentorship. I mean, there are people like our guards are up, right? People will not just allow everyone to come into their space, right? So the quality of questions that you ask is very important. So instead of you just going to say, okay, mentor me, right? Look at something that they've written online and go and ask an intelligent question. Look for something that they are doing and find a way to like serve them and like find a way to like be of value to them. Don't just go and ask mentor me. And that's one thing most young people do. They just straight up ask you on like your social media DM, mentor me. And imagine the amount of mentor me DMs these mentors get every single day. They won't be able to like attend to everybody. So you have to like stand out. You have to be exceptional. How do you become exceptional? Go and read something that they've written before, engage in their content, and come and ask them a reasonable question. Oh, hey, hello, sir, hello, ma. I read this thing from XSSY, like this website, and it was something that was very valuable. I love it. However, I have a question to ask you based on something that you wrote in so paragraph, and you ask the question. They will be very impressed with your question and how, and your approach as well. Or you ask them, is there anything that you have to do today that you don't have time to do? I would love to like assist you and serve you. Or hey, I see that like you do social media content. I would love to help you create designs and stuff like that. Always find a way to serve people that you want to mentor you, and that's an easier way to get their attention rather than you just saying, "Oh, come and mentor me." Most people won't give you attention when you do that.
Okay. I mean, when you said it, I just pictured someone, you must mentor me. But okay, Layo, Milton mentioned something about mentorship and service. So I want us to talk about mentorship and service, right? A lot of times people do not look beyond the mentorship in itself. And when I say mentorship, a lot of people feel like it's just we sit down, we talk business and we go, right? But it goes way beyond that. People do not understand the importance of relationship, the importance of building, I mean, making your mentor convinced that he's doing the right thing. So a lot of times people start the mentorship process, but somewhere along the line, the mentors get tired. This person is not even serious. It might be that when the mentor is talking, the person is listening, but the mentor wants something more, wants dedication, wants your time, maybe sacrifice. But this mentee is just feeling like, we're just here to talk business, say what you want to say and I go. So how do the youths establish or create that balance between, okay, you are my mentor, and I need to offer my service to you? What are those services that can be offered aside just talking business?
Okay. First thing I'll say is that I think every youth has to learn about persuasion, or I don't know the exact word to use. I don't want to use marketing because some people will be like, yo, that's not what's my business. But persuasion, basically, you would learn a whole new stuff about how to relate with people. And then the second thing I would want to say is that we need to realize that no value, where you don't give value, like there's something called emotional bank account of somebody, right? And sometimes if you're working with somebody, whether you're working at any level, people have emotional bank accounts, right? If I compliment you, I've just invested in your emotional bank account, right? So you've got to realize, okay, what does it for this, my mentor? Do I introduce him to people around me? Does that make sense to him? Do I sell his? For instance, I invited a mentor of mine for one of my events, and when he came for my event, he spoke, and he brought some of his books that were worth, the total of what he sold at that event was close to about 100,000 naira, which naturally, if he had gone out, speak. So he was very pleased that, look, coming for your event and I did this. If I called him next time, I would love to speak at social place, it would show up because he knows that, oh, each time I call him, he'll surely get value, not just from serving me, but also on his own end. So you've got to figure out that, look, people, these things can dry up. Emotional bank accounts can dry up. So you just be very intentional about these relationships. That's what's called nurturing relationships, right? You've created, now you nurture relationships that way.
Okay, so it's not just about creating the relationship, you have to nurture it as well. But I think that's one thing the youth really need to learn. But also, Milton, before we go on a short break, talking about imposter syndrome, we talked about age the other time. Sometimes people do not feel that they are good enough or old enough to be mentors. So you hear people say, I have a lot of DMs or people reaching out to me saying they want me to mentor them, and they feel like it's laughable. They laugh at it like, are you joking? I should mentor you. I mean, why do you have such level of imposter syndrome, and how do you think that they can overcome that?
So I think the problem is most youths, most youths are like waiting for them to achieve one particular milestone, or for them to have like $10 million US in their bank account or something before they see themselves in that position to like mentor people, or like maybe buy a car or something. So they are waiting for that that achievement first, and when they've not gotten it, like I'm not good enough. Or these guys are also like comparing themselves with like other people out there in the industry. Say, oh, this person is like doing way much better than me. Then why are you like reaching out to me to like mentor you? I think it's actually a personal thing. You need to like step out of your comfort zone and see that you've made some significant progress in your life. For people to reach out to you to say, I want you to actually guide me through this process in my career, that means you've actually done something phenomenal, and you should actually give them like an opening ear. And also, you should also realize the fact that there are people's destiny is connected to yours, literally, right? There are people that will succeed because you succeeded. And there are people that will actually succeed in life because you actually mentored them. And their destinies are somehow tied to your own destiny. So if you don't actually, if you don't actually like open your DMs, give them that listening ears and stuff like that, right? Imagine what you're doing to that person, right? And also that person that's reaching out for you to mentor the person, there are also other people's destinies that are also connected to their own destiny as well. So it's more like a ripple effect, more like a domino effect. So you should, see yourself in that like position where you can mentor people. And also, don't wait till you achieve a particular level of success before you start seeing yourself as a mentor. At any level at all, you can be a mentor.
Right. All right, thank you so much for that, Milton. Well, it's time for us to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about, or we'll be taking reactions from social media on this very important discourse. Don't forget, we're still talking about mentorship and everything that it entails. This is still Fafanua Africa. Stay tuned. Well, thank you for staying with us. This is still Fafanua Africa, and we have been talking about mentorship. We went on a short break and we're right back. I still have my amazing guests with me, Milton, and of course, my studio guest, Layo. Now, in a world that is evolving to accommodate more influencers on a daily basis, the concept of mentorship seems to be getting displaced. Some will argue that. Millennials and Gen Zs have shaken things up yet a bit. For millennials, mentoring is simply collaborative network learning that includes many people. It's a process where they use technology to connect with people across organizations so that they can share critical knowledge and skills and solicit advice and opinions from people with diverse backgrounds. Now, they view mentorship as a way to make learning connections, in large part because they want to connect with people who can give them practical advice. Emphasis on practical within the context of their daily work. Now, for the Gen Zs, they see mentoring as the way work gets done. They value the input of people who have more experience than they do, and they seek it out so that they can apply it to their own jobs and their lives. Well, like I said earlier, I still have my guest, Milton Tutu, the Chief Marketing Officer of Seller Kigali, Rwanda. Thank you, Milton, for still being here. And of course, we have Layo Arikawe, the lead consultant, Frontiers Consulting, Nigeria. Well, still going straight to our conversation. We have talked about mentoring and age. We've talked about mentoring and influencing. We've talked about mentoring and character building and all of that. But one thing I would also still want us to talk about is the effects, the visible effect of mentoring on people. So starting with you, Layo, how effective would you say mentoring actually is?
Right. I would say the major thing mentoring will do for you is it can crunch your study time. I don't know if that's for lack of a better word. So what it's supposed to take you 10 years, it can take
I
you
had
3
10
years.
years in mind, actually.
It can take you 3 years
Okay.
instead of 10 years. So I mean, what you should have, but the reality is experience is still your best teacher. But now you're taking more calculated steps. You know, at the back of your mind, you can ask yourself, what would X person do in this situation? Take, for instance, you're dealing with toxic workplace stuff. And you're asking yourself, okay, maybe you have one HR as a mentor or something, or maybe one top manager as a mentor, and you ask yourself in that situation, when the heat of the moment, you can ask yourself, because you know my mentor is mature in certain ways, and you know, okay, has developed character in this way, you can ask yourself, what would this person do in this case? Definitely, you know this person's experience in this area. That's a caveat in this space, because your mentor might not have those developed in those areas. They're not perfect, right? But you know this person is good in this area, or you're working on a marketing campaign and it didn't work out well, and then your manager is talking blah blah blah. You ask yourself, oh, what would this person do in this case? You know, I mean, that would save you a whole lot of mess.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Right. Okay, Milton, how about you? How effective would you say mentorship is? It's just like a lot of people arguing that school is a scam. All right, you go to school, sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. You have mentors, sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. So what is your opinion on that?
First of all, school is not a scam. Please go to school. Secondly, I mean, I agree 100% with what he said. Mentorship actually like crunch your time frame to success, right? So what would take you 10 years, right, to figure out with a mentor, it's going to like take you less time. I mean, I am where I am right now in my life because of like the mentor that I've had around me, right? I mean, and there are a whole lot of people out there that they've actually benefited from mentorship. So, and it's also like mentorship is also a relationship between you and your mentor. So, one thing you also need to learn is emotional intelligence, how to handle conflict, all of those necessary skills to know to like actually build a solid relationship with someone. But mentorship is something that you should not sleep on. It is not a scam. Mentorship is a shorter path for you to get to success. So if you're like going into like a new career and you're like trying to figure yourself out, get a mentor. If the mentor will help you, like give you a structured learning path. So mentorship is literally, it's really not a scam. It's actually something everyone should take serious with. Yeah.
Okay, well, that said, I'd like to introduce our third guest, like they say, better late than never, Kasango Dickens Pesa, Director General, Global Council for Promotion of International Trade in Nairobi, Kenya. Kasango, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for hosting me.
The network almost made us lose your input, but Mercy said no. But anyways, Kasango, we've been talking about mentorship, and I'll just quickly like for you to chip in on this last one. We talked about the, how effective mentorship is. In your own opinion, how do you think, how much of effect do you think it has on mentees? Does it actually always turn out good?
Yes, I think it does turn out good. And part of the things someone has to realize in the first beginning, they need to set a goal for their life. One, that's very, very important. And they need to realize that, okay, as I set out these goals to become mentored, I need to put aside certain things because not that everything is going to play as you wish. Things are going to value. People are going to have experiences that you don't have in your particular life. And as a result, this is going to affect your way of operating going forward. So in the goal, in the vision that you achieve in your life or you plan to achieve, how is that going to play a very vital role? So as you drive that vision, what are the key steps? Some are going to need education, some are going to need to go and seek counseling, some are going to need to get into particular networks of people that actually at that level you plan to be at. And this in the long run is going to impact onto some of those decisions. Now, regarding a flow of how soon are you going to get there, it's not about the time race, it's about how are you growing as a person, because as my previous presenters have said, becoming a CEO of a rich company is one thing, it's a goal achieved, but have you grown as a person? Can you actually tell people how to grow into that organization. And that is very, very important as we grow. Part of the problem that Africa is facing at the moment is even our leaders are not as mentored into this particular leadership position. So it affects how the nations are run, it affects how infrastructure is put together. And in the long run, we've seen corruption becoming a problem because there's no mentorship from the family level. But we as a continent, I believe, having this conversation is going to tailor how youth view these different things in the way to run as a continent. Yes.
All right, Kasango, thank you for that. I mean, it's safe to say that in this case, it will happen, maybe not immediately, but definitely. But another very sensitive part of mentorship I'd like for us to talk about is mentorship and gender. Now, a lot of times you see people, maybe guys, say that they can't have female mentors. And ladies say that they cannot have male mentors, especially people who have gone ahead of them in age. And I mean, for obvious reasons, right? We talk about grooming, we talk about sometimes inappropriate words, you know, offensive words that are not even intended. So how do we balance those kind of situations? Larry, I'm coming to you. How do we balance having mentors? I mean, these are the kind of people that you want in your space. These are the people that will definitely help you. But then you're now looking at the gender difference, and it now becomes sort of a barrier. Should that be, and how can that be balanced?
Okay, beautiful question. I think that we've got to be conscious in this space that the message is what is important. The person might not be as important as the message. You know, so whoever it is you find as your mentor or you connect with, that, you know, whatever point B looks like for you can take you there. Because there are certain doors you never open if your mentor doesn't show you how to get there. If it's a male, a female, whatever, if the person can deliver or what your expectations are, I mean, go for it. Don't limit yourself.
Okay. Milton, what's your take on that? Milton, I think you're muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Awesome. Look beyond gender and look at experience. Literally, this is the 21st century. I don't know why we're still having these conversations about
No,
gender.
I mean, well, but you won't blame people. There's still cases of grooming. There's still cases of harassment and all, so... Sure.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, my first 2 to 3 mentors were like women, right? The person that showed me how to like become an Amazon best-selling author was literally a woman, right? She guided me through the whole process, right? So look beyond the gender, look at the experience, look at what you're going to learn, look at how far you're going to grow in life, right? And just take that limiting mindset of like, oh, because this person is a lady or because this person is a man, I can't have this person as my mentor. No. Look at, okay, this is what this person knows, this is what this person has achieved, so I want this person to mentor me because of this thing and not because of their gender. Yes, so I think that's my opinion on it.
Okay. Kasango, how about you? Kasango, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. So my opinion is we need to define what we want in the relationship, because at the end of the day, you're looking at the end result, what you're going to learn from them. So as the mentee, what lines don't you need to cross as a result? Because if you don't define those lines, particular conversations cannot be had as a result. If you have conversations beyond the skill set you ought to acquire from this particular mentor, that's the beginning of compromise. So those have to be defined very well, even you by the mentee, that you know I cannot exceed conversations past this. So you structure conversation. You will make sure certain things cannot slip into the mentorship program or cannot slide into the mentorship arena or the layout. Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to all my 3 guests, the gentlemen I have in the house. Thank you so much, Kasango, for joining us. Thank you, Milton, for being here. And thank you, Layo, for joining me on the show. It's been an amazing show, and I'm so happy that you all can or could contribute your input. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, hoping to see you all again sometime soon on my show. But in the meantime, We have some very profound words. I wouldn't say by our mentors because we don't know them directly, but African icons who have gone ahead of us. We'll be looking at that very shortly. But right now, we want to check out some tweets, what people had to say on Twitter about mentorship. So let's read that, and we'll be back to talk about our icons. Now, Andrew Sykes says, mentors are great, but you have to be the main character in your own story. Okay, that's a take home. Another person says, they say we cannot choose our parents, but then we can always choose who teaches us, who mentors us. What teachings in life do we want to follow? It's an opportunity. Use it well, use it wisely. Soft Amplify Agency says, learning without a mentor is frustrating. What took you 2 months, like Laya said, to figure out might only take you 2 minutes if you had a guide, which is so true. Tara says, you have no plan, no goals written down, and no mentor. You're just sitting there praying for someone to do the work for you. Wake up. I think that's our motto for today, wake up. Another one says, open yourself to those who have results and let them mentor you. Knowledge is a currency that can allow you to take part in the conversation of today and tomorrow. Now, one says, one good teacher or mentor can change your life forever, which is the truth. All right, I think that's all we have for the tweets for this episode of Fafanua Africa. But before we go, like I said earlier, we have some quotes by people who have gone ahead of us, African icons or icons generally who have gone ahead of us to help us understand better what mentorship is. Let's take a look. I think you're free to go. Now, today's younger generations report higher rates of mentoring than older ones. 56% of all adults say they had a mentor, compared with 66% of those under 40. The trend is primarily thanks to an increase in programs that facilitate formal mentoring relationships. Now, because those programs have largely focused on low-income students of maybe color, mentorship rates have seen significant growth in those communities. According to the report, these are increasingly reaching youth who have experienced the highest number of adverse life experiences. Well, it's been an amazing 1-hour packed program, and thanks to all our guests for that. Join us again for another episode of Fafanua Africa. New episodes, new topics to talk about. And until then, I remain your delectable host on the show. Blessings, Masugu. Bye.